everyone, and welcome to our 12th episode of YaEat. As usual, I am so glad to have you here. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode of Chicken Marsala. As of today, we had 3,500 views in the first 48 hours, so thank you so much. Please like and please engage on the videos. I respond to everyone's comments, and I'd like to know if there's any recipes that you would like to see me prepare. A few weeks back, we made a chicken soup, and as the weather gets even cooler...
But winter is coming.
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming.
Winter may be coming, but I'm afraid the same cannot be said for my brother.
When the winter comes, the seven gods together couldn't save you and your royal army.
Winter is coming.
Today we're going to be making another soup. It's not an Italian soup, but like I said, we do other recipes other than Italian. This is one of my favorite soups, and it's really easy to make. Today we'll be making potato leek soup with bacon, and we'll just garnish it with a little cheese on top. Are you ready? Here we go. To make this soup, you're going to need 5 pounds of russet potatoes, 3 large leek, 3 quarts of chicken stock, 4 ounces of salted butter, 16 ounces of heavy cream, 12 strips of bacon, 4 ounces of all-purpose flour, 2 ounces of canola oil, salt and pepper to taste. Hey, quick shout out, my nephew does these awesome doodles. Go to Instagram, Espo's Doodles, or Google Espo's Doodles. He's taking holiday orders now. Here's a little trick I like to do. So the potato doesn't slip out of my hand. I just like to stick a fork in there, like that. And then it's easy to peel. So I peel the potatoes first, and then I run them through the water, and then I give them a final cleanup. And cook it on a medium flame. So we're going to start with the bacon. Now, this bacon here, actually I bought, it was pre-cooked, and there is enough fat here to render some of this flavor here, so I'm going to throw that in with some little canola oil. So while the bacon's cooking, we're going to cut the leek. We're just going to cut it in half, cut off the core, cut that in half, and then cut it in half again. This is the cleanest leek I've ever seen. Usually you'll find a lot of sand inside the leek. Okay, so the bacon's done. Let's remove that from the pan, shut off the heat, and finish cutting the leek. You do not have to cut it that uniform. It'll break down. Plus I'm going to puree it a little bit. There's no sand in here at all. But for purposes, most of the leek you're going to find is going to have a lot of sand in it. So this is how I prepare it, and then I wash it. And I usually wash it about 3 or 4 times. Okay, we'll turn the heat back on and add the butter. And we'll add the leek to the pan and give it a good stir. We'll season it up with some salt and pepper. And I will add salt multiple times throughout this process. You just want to sweat the leeks. We don't want to brown them too much because this is a white soup. We don't want it to affect the color. So while I am sauteing the leek, I started on the potato. Again, this doesn't have to be that uniform. I cut some of the potatoes smaller and some of them bigger. The smaller they are, they cook quicker. The larger cuts will remain as chunks in the soup. So if you haven't guessed it, the 3 biggest time-consuming parts of this recipe would be peeling and cutting the potato and cooking the soup. Okay, the leeks are getting to a really nice color. Okay, we lowered the heat, and I wanted to brown the leeks, but not too much. And now what we're going to do is going to add our flour And we're going to add the roux. So we had the 4 ounces of butter, right? We have 4 ounces of flour, and we had a little extra canola oil and a little extra bacon fat, but not that much. So we're just going to add this in. We're just going to mix this in. I'm going to cook it for a couple of minutes. After cooking the roux for a few minutes, we're going to slowly add the chicken stock. You see it's turning into like a paste, right? Kind of like the glue you used to make as a kid. And you mix flour and water together. Once you reach this creamy consistency, you could add the remaining stock. And of course, you're going to want to incorporate that and mix well. We're going to add the potato now. I'll add the second quart of chicken stock. So we're going to give this a good stir. Make sure that nothing's sticking to the bottom of the pan. We'll season and bring to a boil. Once it starts to boil, let's lower the heat and give it a good stir. So far, I added 2 quarts of chicken stock. I slowly add the third one as I need it. So while the soup is simmering, I'll just chop up the bacon that we cooked earlier. And you don't want to go more than 10 minutes without stirring the soup. Now you could add the bacon at this point or at the end. So we're going to cook this until the potatoes are soft, about 20 to 30 minutes. Again, you just have to come back every 10 minutes and give it a good stir. You know if it's burning when you scrape the bottom if it's stuck to your spoon. Okay, this is my favorite tool in the kitchen, or one of my favorite tools. So let's see if it starts to break down a little bit. Now this is a personal preference. Again, I like it kind of chunky and not too thick. Be careful that you do not overblend or your soup will get very starchy. You could also whisk by hand. You still want to have some chunks of potato, but this really thickened up the soup quite a bit. It's okay if it looks like a loose mashed potatoes at this point. That's a pretty good consistency. We'll see what it's like after we add our cream. You're going to only add the cream at the very last minute. I like to give it a little taste test before I add the cream. Definitely salt. You want to turn off the heat. Now I left this cream on the counter for a little while, but most likely you're going to be adding a cold cream to a hot soup. So we want to temper that in by adding it slowly until you see the color go from a beige to like an eggshell white, or a color and flavor that meets your needs. It's a little thick. That's okay, we can add some chicken stock. So how much cream I had left over was about 3 ounces or so. So I used 13 ounces of the cream. And about 2.5 of the chicken stock. I could have very easily used all of the chicken stock and all of the cream, but I like this consistency. We're all done. Let's plate it up. Lastly, we're just going to top it off with some cheddar cheese and the bacon that we made. Potato leek soup with bacon. YaEat? You want to eat? Make this recipe. It's delicious. Do you live in the northern New Jersey area looking to remodel your kitchen or bathroom? Call Carpentry Innovations. They've been in business over 31 years. CarpentryInnovationsNJ.com. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you just click on that like button. All you have to do is click on a button. I am starting to book up for this holiday season. Go to YaEat.tv/contact and I'll get back to you. Again, any point if your soup gets too thick, reheating it, you can always thin it out by adding a little bit of chicken stock at a time. A couple weeks ago we did a rotisserie. A couple weeks ago we prepared a rotisserie chicken soup recipe. A couple weeks ago we made a rotisserie chicken soup recipe. A few weeks ago, we made a rotisserie chicken, rotisserie. A few weeks back, we made a chicken soup.